Well, good evening. Welcome to Ozarks Tonight. Good to be with you. I'm Brian Calfano. And you know, you can't get too far today without running into talk about the 2020 presidential election and, of course, the Democratic primary in specific. And tonight we have the pleasure to be joined by Caitlin Shawhorn, a former Fox News reporter and now a writer for the Missouri Times. And she joins us tonight from Jefferson City. Caitlin, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I guess we got to talk about good old Uncle Joe and all of the attention that he still gets as the front runner. I know Elizabeth Warren is kind of kicking up on his heels and that sort of thing, but he still is technically the front runner according to most polls. Do you think, though, that he is nearing his expiration date?
You know, we hear this a lot with him and some of the other candidates, and we even heard this kind of talk in the 2016 presidential election with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. They were both older candidates. Could they be nearing the end of their political careers? And yet President Trump obviously still won. So I think Biden, as you see with the polls, he has a lot of support. I think that he's got a lot of people in his corner, and so I think there's still fight left in him.
All right, so let's think about this from the standpoint of Missouri, at least, because obviously that's where we are, and we're talking to Missourians now. There is the conventional wisdom that says essentially that Biden's the best Democrat to go against President Trump because he would appeal to the same, potentially the same kind of voter. By the same token, you've got Biden with more of a moderate branding, if you will. He may have some pretty liberal positions on certain issues, but he kind of has this folksy way of talking, and he can maybe relate to some more rural type voters than what you're going to find in a Warren or a Sanders or a Harris, et cetera, et cetera. Do you buy into that? I mean, do you, from folks you're talking to around the state, I mean, do they essentially say, well, you know, I'm not really a Democrat or anything, but if I had to vote for one of them, I guess Biden would be my choice?
Yeah, definitely. That's a lot of what people are saying. And, you know, that faction between Biden and Senator Warren or Senator Sanders really shows the split that you're seeing with some Democrats in the Democratic Party now, more moderates or more progressives. And I think Biden's record as a more moderate really does resonate with some Missouri voters who are pro-union and, you know, aren't really seeing themselves being represented with a Senator Sanders, but maybe Vice President Biden.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, essentially, if you can get the Democratic Party to coalesce around a guy like Biden, because they're going to have to move to the middle to be able to do that, because he has folks on his left who are really pushing a much more liberal point of view on a lot of these policy issues. And I just wonder, and you've covered politics nationally, you covered the 2016 election. Of course, Biden wasn't in it, but he was around as the vice president. Do you know anything about the talk around him as being like, this guy's one big gaffe away from throwing the whole thing down the drain?
Yeah, I mean, we joked about Joe Biden's gaffes for years now, and yet he's still the front runner. So I think it's just kind of his personality, and those who support him definitely would say that it's his quirk. It's what makes him Joe Biden.
Right, and so we'll see what ends up happening. Now, you were covering the 2016 election. What from that whole process of everyone going with the conventional wisdom that Trump can't win and Clinton was a shoo-in, do you think we should take from that to look forward to 2020? Some nuggets of wisdom based on your experience covering 2016.
Well, I think the first would be we probably shouldn't put too much stock into polls. So while Biden is the front runner in those polls, maybe we shouldn't put as much stock into that, you know, when it gets closer to the actual election. But also, I think things haven't changed that much from 2016 in terms of people are still really, you know, feel lonely and feel like the federal government has forgotten them. You know, they really want someone in Washington, D.C. who represents them. Trump really did a great job of harping on that and making voters feel connected and making voters feel like he was there for them.
Where do you see the president being vulnerable? Of course, now this time he has the advantages of incumbency, but by the same token, he also now has a record to run on. So he has tried to keep a lot of, I think, the key issues that were important to his voters on the agenda, especially when it comes to border security. But we've gotten into this tariff war, and we've gotten into concerns among a lot of farmers about whether or not they're going to be able to survive this sort of tariff war over the next several years if it goes that long. Where do you think the president might be most vulnerable given what's gone on in the last couple of years in his administration?
Yeah, I think this goes for many presidential elections in general, but definitely the economy. You mentioned the tariff wars, and you mentioned some disenfranchisement among farmers, maybe, and that was a big voting bloc for him in 2016. And so, even if people feel as though the economy isn't getting better, they don't feel as though they are able to get ahead, I think that could come back and be a negative for him.
Yeah, and I don't think, though, anyone is expecting that Missouri is going to flip Dem at the presidential level. I'm assuming. I don't think you'd say that either.
No, and he won Missouri by almost 20 points in 2016. So that's, if it went for a Democrat in 2020, that would be a very stark flip.
Let me ask you one parting thing. What are we missing about this 2020 race in your estimation? One big thing that we're not covering in media, whether it be television, whether it be print, what are we not seeing?
We've started seeing a little bit more of this, but I've been really interested in how Trump and whoever the Democratic nominee is going to be in winning over those Midwest states and those union states. There was a really great piece in Politico that came out this week about how the Trump administration is trying to maybe a little quietly woo some of those union voters and so some of those union members, and exactly how he's going to do that, not just saying that, but what exactly his plans are. And I really enjoyed seeing the coverage on that and want to see a little bit more of that, especially as the strike with the GM workers continues.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know about you, but I'm getting excited, though. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we live for, I would think, going into next year. Listen, Caitlin Schallhorn, thank you so much for being here tonight. Caitlin's from the Missouri Times, and you're doing great work up there in Jefferson City. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be back after this.